Hey guys, how's it going? Can y'all hear me okay? Test, test. Test. Can y'all hear me? Ah, perfect. Hey Rob, how's it going? I'm going to change the setting on here. 1 second. There we go. It's wanting to record. I think that's why it's delaying a little bit. Okay. So is this better? Okay. So what I'm going to show you right now is this is the BTC USD shorts chart. And I've had this drawn this way for a long time. But look where we're at again. Okay? This is almost like an ascending type of triangle. And you get your stochastic RSI down here at the bottom. But we're coming back to test this trend line. Okay? And look what we got. Right here, right here. And hang on 1 second, guys. Let me get my pointer out. I got to get that so y'all can see where I'm pointing to. Let me get that activated. 1 sec. There we go. All right. Let this open up. There we go. All right, so here's what we got. Bottom here, bottom here, bottom here, came down and almost hit this trend line. And now we're coming back to test it again. So here's what we got. And it's almost like the entire market in a nutshell, right? We know something's getting ready to happen. We just don't know what. Okay? So is this going to break the trend line and drop all the way down here? And if it does, my assumption is that the market will take off, right? Bitcoin and Litecoin and all the others will just take off. And then you got heavy resistance up here. So it's been rejected 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 times. So if I was short, I would almost take that as I'm done. I'm just, giving up. That's it. Can't break through. It's not going lower. So that's kind of where I'm thinking, but we'll see. I mean, if it breaks this, then we'll know. If not, then all hell breaks loose. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring over, and I know y'all had questions about the moving averages, but what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to bring over a Bitcoin chart. And this is the daily chart, okay? And so, oops, let me get that up there. There we go. All right. And let me move the question. Let me move this over here so I can see if you have any questions or not. All right. So, right here, okay, this is the daily chart of Bitcoin. Okay, and this is not the futures chart. This is just a daily chart. But look how the Bollinger Bands are tightening so much in that something has to give one way or the other. Okay? I mean, I knew this a long time ago when we were going sideways, and we got a little drop here, got a little bounce, but we could still stay in this for a little while. I mean, you know, I expected toward the end of October or November that we would probably break out of this pattern. So I'm a little off on my timing, but it still looks like something might happen pretty soon. I don't know what, but something might happen. The question I think that, you know, that Jaw had about, and I'm going to call you Jaw because JAA, I'm just going to call you Jaw, about exponential moving averages. And let me pull this up, and hopefully this will make sense, okay? So this is a plain Jane daily chart, no indicators, no nothing except for exponential moving averages. And when I look at something like this, let's go back. Let's just go back and look. Back in time, okay? We're going to scroll back. And let's see how far this updates, okay? So if you noticed, way back in here, okay, and I'm going to scroll in. Way back in here, look how tight these moving averages got before it made a move up, right? Look at that. Can anybody hear me? Is everything going okay? Can y'all hear me all right? Test. Can y'all hear me? Ja, there's no tricks as far as like time frames. It's kind of like I mentioned last night. You know, if you was wanting to scalp something, you could take the 8 and 34 EMAs. You know, the cross on that, and normally what happens is the 8 EMA is going to drive through the 34, right, and cross, and then your trigger is when you want to see it pull back from there, because to get that move above, you're obviously going to have volume and a movement to the upside to bring the moving average up. So what you want to do is you want to wait for a pullback, so to speak, okay? And then wait for it to come back, and if it tests the 34 EMA and it holds, that's your trigger, okay? And normally you want to be watching for some fib retracements and things of that nature. I would look at it on probably like a 30-minute or an hourly chart, so to speak, you know, and take it from there. But wait for a retracement. You don't want to chase it. Just wait for a retrace, because when you get that volume coming through to drive the moving average up, that's people chasing it and driving price higher, and you don't want to buy into that. So you want to wait for a retrace, because you're going to get a first move up, you're going to pull back, and then you're going to get the bigger move after that, hypothetically. But my point being on the EMAs, okay, is this. Okay, look at this. So look at the distance between moving averages, okay? So once you have this tight bunch down here, and hopefully this it's not lagging real bad, But when you get EMAs that are tightly bunched, once it breaks out of that pattern, you usually get a big spike higher, and that's the trend change, okay? And then it's going to come back and it's going to start testing the 10, the 20, the 50, and that's where you look to see how strong it is, right? And so once the moving averages start to hook and go in a direction, you can start playing the trend, okay? But the thing is that the distance between moving averages is going to be either resistance or support. And the wider apart they are, the more resistance or support you have. Okay, that's hypothetical, but it works, right? And so we had this big move on Bitcoin way back, and now we've got the pullback. Okay, and here we go. And now look what we got. And this is why this could take still even maybe a month or more. It could go on into February. So this thing could actually go a lot longer, but it's still holding its base. So that's why my thinking is that this is not going any lower. I mean, if it does, then it's going to get really nasty and it's going to get really bad. Okay? I mean, there's no other way about it. I mean, if it goes below, I said 6,000, but technically if you wanted to say 5,800, then it's over. And it'll take a long time for this to recover. And I'm going to change my setting again on this stupid thing. Let me see if I can speed this up a little bit. Let's see. Let me move that to 3. Let's see if that helps. All right. We'll see if that helps a little bit or not. Okay, so you notice that when the 55 crosses EMA or higher time, it causes yeah, because, well, here's the deal. EMAs work like this. So you've got short-term traders, you got long-term traders. The longer-term traders are the ones, and maybe even bag holders, if you want to call them that, at the 100 or 200 EMAs. That's why those are so tough to get through, because when it breaks those on the downside or the upside, then you've got people that are bag holders, right? And so either they sell part of it or they're just stuck, and when it gets back to that point, they're wanting to get out. That's what causes that, right? Does that make sense? Because for every person that makes a profit, there's always a bag holder. Somebody's going to get stuck holding the bag. And that person just sits there and holds it and waits until price gets back to where they can at least cut their losses or just totally get out. Which specific one? 8. So I don't know where the 54 is coming from. Maybe you meant 34? Not sure. Okay, good. At least the audio's good. I'm going to have to work on the video part. So, anyway, I mean, kind of going back to what I was talking about, though, the EMAs, you know, when I see these things starting to tighten up like this, if I was short, I would be really, really cautious, okay? And that's why I said this last night, is that there could be something out of nowhere that causes this to spike. I mean, they're so tight right now that it could cause it to spike all the way up to 7,000 in a heartbeat, right? I mean, just look back in here. You know, this thing always tends to gravitate back to the 200 EMA, or even my good friend Joe likes looking at a 200 simple moving average, which is up here, the green line. And so you could get a spike out of nowhere that might take it right back to here, around 7,000, and then back off a little bit. Okay? So if you look back in here, like Joe pointed out, it hit this, hit here, hit the 200 EMA, not the simple, and then backed off of it. So we're waiting on those people that were bag holders right in here. They're bag holders, and now they're finally getting out. And these people here are the last ones, right? So if you get through that, that creates the MOMO. That's the fear of missing out. So they finally get out, and then they see it start going up, and then they want to get back in and chase it. Does that make sense? I mean, it's all psychology when you look at it. I mean, we can get real technical with stuff, but that's basically what it is in a nutshell. Now, the downside to this is that if there is some sort of bad news, these moving averages could turn and hook down. And that's where you have to go back and look at your longer term charts, okay? So if I go and start pulling up a monthly, okay, and I'm going to scroll this out. The distance between the 8 and the... Now, it's not a 54. It's not a 54, it's a 34. 8 and 34. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the monthly chart, which I think is absolutely fascinating to look at. It really is, since the month just ended. But the one thing that really bothers me, so to speak, I mean, in a way, I mean, of course, we're looking at monthly, so it's not, I'm not saying it's the end of the world. But when I see a hangman candle, I mean, that was the clear indication that that was a top. You know, especially after a bullish move back in here, when everybody, probably even myself back at the time, was thinking that, okay, we got a bullish engulfing right here, and we continue to move higher. You know, bulls got trapped right here. So people were bailing. And we've come back to here, and now we're retesting the lows, you know, and holding this zone. Okay, if we can hold that support zone, and we're holding, look here, the 20 EMA on the monthly chart. So this is huge, and then we're starting to get the 10 EMA instead of hooking down. Now it's starting to try maybe to flatten out. Of course, price will determine that. So, who knows? We could get back up to 7,000 or 7,500, and we'll see what happens at the 10 EMA. So, anyway, we got some interesting things coming up. It's gonna be fun to watch. Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to go look at a weekly chart, which is not going to be too entirely different. Just looking for some candlestick patterns. All right, so we got a doji right here from last week, and then we've got, you know, we're still a couple of days out, so we'll see what happens over the weekend. But the 10 EMA is resistance, the 20 EMA is resistance, 50 EMA is a resistance. Okay, so there's some hurdles to climb, definitely. But getting back above that, you know, that's the key. And look where the 50 EMA is. It's right at 7,000. So, you know, when I called that, I'm thinking it maybe spikes up to here and then pulls back. I mean, we'll see how it plays out. But right now, it's just range bound. I mean, there is like, it's just tightening up and tightening up. LTC, yeah, let me take a look. Whoops, wait a second. There we go. I think that's the LTC daily chart. All right, so here's Litecoin on the daily chart, and I'll give it a second to let it pull over. See how far this thing is behind. All right, so Litecoin, pretty much the same as Bitcoin in a way. You know, I've had this, it's funny because I've had this zone here, this support zone, probably since way back in here or right in here. And I was saying that this is an area that has to hold, period. If it breaks below this, then, you know, obviously you got low 40s and possibly even mid 30s. But this was also one that I mentioned that looked like it could have a potential, and I'll draw it. Let me do a, all right, I'll just do it this way. If you wanted to look at this, if you wanted to draw it on the bodies, and I'm going to change that up. So if you wanted to draw up Litecoin based on the bodies and not the wicks, you got a falling wedge, right? Based on the bodies of the candles, not the wicks. So you got a falling wedge. Tendency is to break out of that, especially when it's holding at the support level. So, you know, you're coming off the lower Bollinger Band, which is usually like a springboard. Think of it as a diver that needs something to go higher. Boom. That's what you bounce off of. It's like a springboard. Okay? So you could draw it that way. And that's, like I say, it's on the daily chart. And I'm going to take that out of there. So it's just in a big consolidation zone right here. Okay? Doesn't take a rocket science to figure it out. So it could stay in this for a little bit. You know? You're not really trying to look at the... You know, you may want to look at some RSI or stock RSI to see if you get any major divergence. But right now, volume is not there. Price is just kind of going sideways and consolidating. So somebody, in my opinion, is buying in here. This is where people are giving up and they're just like, okay, I'm getting out. I'm tired of it. Don't have the patience. Get me out. Sick of it. And have you guys been watching on Twitter or, I haven't had time, but have y'all looked around on Twitter? Are people giving up? Are they tired of it? I mean, I've had a buddy of mine that texted me the other day and he said, I'm sick of it. Just done. And I was like, all right. So, had the thought even, just like crossed my mind? Sure it does. But I've been through this before and I know how it works. And so when people get disgusted and they're tired of it and they're done, it's not going anywhere, it's going to break down, it's just going to collapse, that's when you have to watch out. Okay? And I'm not guaranteeing anything here, guys, but it's psychology of the markets, okay? And it's how it works. People give up, but somebody is always there to collect it, okay? So there's a lot of people that are smarter than us that know what's going on, and they're just waiting. They're patient. You have to have patience in this market. Everybody wants to make $1 million overnight. It doesn't happen. You have to have patience. But we're going into the holiday season, and I guess this backed thing is coming out. The ETF thing might be coming out in February, possibly, or is it March? I can't remember the exact dates. So patience is what's required. You can't sit here and just look at this thing every day and think, oh my God, it could bounce 500 points or 600 points or 1,000 or whatever. Those days are gone for now. I mean, eventually at some point it'll get volatile again and everybody will start, piling back in, and you'll start seeing Twitter people and gurus and all this and that and blah, blah, blah. But for now, it's patience. It's all about protecting capital and being careful, picking your spots, and just being patient. That's what it takes. Sorry to rant, but that's what I'm doing. Let's see. XLM was the other one. Okay, let me take a look at XLM. Let's see here. Wow, got a lot of stuff there. Let's see. XLM. Thought I had. Let's see. DGB. Oh, DGB had a nice little move today. There's RDD. Let's go to XLM. Stellar. Stellar Lumen. All right. So this will be a decent example of what could happen. Okay, and I'm going to go back to it again. Moving averages and Bollinger Bands. Okay? So look what happens. And this is why you have to pay attention and always keep Bollinger Bands on your chart. Okay? So this thing just hugs the lower Bollinger Band, comes down in here, drops, and comes in here, bounces off the lower Bollinger Band, and then starts to go into a tight range. And look how tight the Bollinger Bands get. So after here, you had the big move. Somebody was obviously buying. They didn't want it to go any lower. Bounced off the lower Bollinger Band. And then it comes back and retests, gets tight. You get a nice reversal formation right here. And then look what happens. Boom. Okay? Boom. So now what you're watching for is retracements. And I think I had this drawn back in here, the 78.6, which it's hit and backed off a little bit. So, and not only that, but it's outside of the Bollinger Bands. Would I be buying it right here? No, I would not. I wouldn't be buying it right here. I would be doing some fib retracements, okay? And I'll just do one right now. Make sure my magnet's on. There we go. All right. So I would draw a fib retracement. Let me format it. Tendency would be to come back and test the 38.2, possibly even the 61.8 or the 50%. You know, it may retrace half of that move. But right in here, that's the area you want to watch, okay? And potentially place your bet, okay? Your stop loss, if you're buying in this area, would be below the 78.6. Just barely, okay? So that's what you want to watch out for. I mean, if it goes higher, then it goes higher and you just leave it. You don't chase it. You don't. You just have to pick your spots, because if you didn't get it back here, you shouldn't be chasing up here. You're losing money if you chase it up here. That's too risky, in my opinion. Okay, so let's see. You want to look at mindset at times and then potential. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so your mindset is what? Just like you want to do quick scalps and stuff? Is that what it is, Jay? Let me look at BAT. Hang on one sec. Let me pull that up real quick. Yeah, DGB is one, you know, and I'll be honest with you guys, I actually got this one wrong. I really thought by the end of the year, I thought DGB, and we're not at the end of the year yet, but I really thought DGB would be a lot higher by this time, so my bad. I still think it's great for the long term, no doubt. Let's see here. It's cool not raining. I can go over any stocks you want to look at. Option trading. You have to be really careful with option trading. So you want to watch the VIX. Okay, that's the volatility index on the stock exchange. So you want to watch it. Options, if you catch them right, they could be great. If you don't, then you're stuck. And you could watch. I mean, the good thing about options is that, you know, you're not ever gonna like lose $1 million. You know, like if it goes against you, you're only gonna lose what you invest. So. Hang on one sec, guys. Okay, I'm back. So let's see here. You're looking at, what are you looking at? Cron, are those New York Stock Exchange? Or NASDAQ, or what is that? Oh, okay. Cron. Hang on, let me look at that. Oh, wow. That's been pretty volatile. Wow. Do you have any calls on that one? Are you playing calls and puts? Is that what you're doing? Or are you playing straddles or butterflies? No, I haven't done it ADA chart yet. I will do that here in just a second. Excuse me. Cron, I would definitely think on like a slight pullback, I would be buying some calls. Let me pull up ADA. Did you want the USD or BTC cross on that one? Oh, it's New York Stock. Okay, yeah, I saw it. Let me pull up ADA here. Ooh, that one had a nice little move. That's almost similar to Stellar. Okay, so we got some... We're getting some small movement on some of these alts, right? So there's ADA. And it's been a while, obviously, since I updated this chart. So I think I'm just going to clear this fib out. It's interesting how it came down here. Look at this. I haven't looked at this chart in a while. I mean, this has been a while. And look at this. Look where it bounced. 78.6 retracement. Look at that. Came all the way. That just shows you how long it's been since I looked at this chart. Because it obviously was back in here. But look at this. Came all the way back down and hit the 78.6. Wow. Crazy. Let me pull that out of there. And let's see what we got. There we go. Let me come over here, draw this fib down to here. I don't think that looks right, though. Something's not right. Oh, there we go. Forgot about that. My bad. There we go. Forgot about that little wick over there. Yeah, so it's come back and hit the 38.2 retracement. I'm not sure that I would be totally long. I mean, you could, obviously that's a nice bottom right there, but it's coming back into a zone of sellers, right? So that's going to be a tough nut to crack. Okay, so I would keep an eye on that. Let's do this. And again, it's all about drawing your fibs and your retracements and picking your spots. So right back in here, 38.2 retracement, probably a good spot to maybe start thinking about it. But if it can hold that 50 EMA, who knows? But if you scroll in and look at this, right in this area, right here, that's your prime time area. You would preferably like to stay above the breakout zone, okay? Because right up here it got rejected a little bit, and then back up she goes. So coming back to retest, that wouldn't be so bad. Wouldn't be so bad. I'd be hoping for a little bit of a pullback on this one. You got your stock RSI is way high. RSI is way at the top. So just wait for a pullback. ADA, I would wait for a pullback on that one. Maybe back in this area. I wouldn't be chasing. Wouldn't be chasing at all. Pick your spots. What else we got? Oh, VET. Okay, yeah, that was one of those, wasn't it, like 3 or 4 months ago? That thing went to the moon, man. That thing took off. I haven't looked at it, but let's go look at it and see if I even got the chart still here. VET. Yeah, I sure do. Last time I looked at it was September 6th, okay? Oh, yeah. Wow. Just kind of went down and, wow, still going sideways. That could be another one of those, guys. I mean, it bounces right here off the lower Bollinger Band. Now it's going sideways. It's tightening up. You know, could be one of those that just breaks through, you know? I would take profits quickly. Take profits quickly. DGB. Let's take a look at DGB. All right, so DGB got listed on a new exchange. Let's see here. Let's scroll out a little bit on the daily. Yeah, so today, look at this. Amazing how those EMAs work. Look at this, guys. There's your 50 EMA, and look where it hit, the high. Touched it, backed off. 50 EMA right there. Right there. So, I'm wondering how many more people got in on this and got, who knows, got slaughtered, stuck, whatever. So that's going to be a little bit more resistance to chew through, because some of those people that are playing it just because they don't know about it, they don't know a dang thing about it, and they're looking to just make a quick profit, and now they're stuck. So they're wanting to move on to stuff, right? They're wanting to move on to something else because that's all the money they got. And so now they're looking to get out whenever it makes a bounce. That creates resistance. Does that make sense, guys? Are you kind of getting the psychology of this? There may be somebody out there that might have $10,000. There may be somebody that has $500. And if they put all their money on one thing and it doesn't go their way, guess what? They're stuck. Because they don't want to lose it. That's all they got. That's all the money they got. They're stuck, and they're hoping that it comes back up to where they can break even and move on to the next thing that they can go lose money on. So, you know, as much as I hate to say that, that's just how trading works for probably 90% of people. You know, they want to go chase things. That's how it works. They want to go see what's hot, somebody's pumping something, and they want to chase it, and then they throw their money in it, and it only goes up a little bit, and they're thinking they're going to get the moon, and then all of a sudden it starts dropping, and they're stuck. They can't act quick enough. They can't get out. and they're stuck. So they're like, okay, well, I'm just going to wait. And then they sit there and wait and wait and wait and wait. And then finally, when it gets back to break even, they get out. That's how trading works, guys. It really is. Just saying. Let's see, Bollinger Bands. When the candles are below the middle line, hugging bottom of Bollinger Bands, the probability of going up. Yes, it is. Here's the thing on Bollinger Bands is that the way I've always looked at him is I like to think of him in my mind, and this is just how I view him. I view it as a springboard. You know, like if you're at a pool and somebody's got a springboard, you know what I'm saying? And they want to go out there and they, want to jump off this springboard and make a high dive. That's how I view them. It's like, and basically what they are is they're basically resistance and support zones. But I look at it as springboards. When they hit those bottoms, they can rocket right off of them because that's support. Now, if they break those, that's the only thing is that you have to combine things. Where is the resistance? Where is the support? Where's the fib? And if it breaks a fib and it goes below the Bollinger Band, it's going to make a huge move down or a huge move up. And it's going to hit the next fib. And then depending on where the Bollinger Band is and where the price is, and that's the other thing to watch on Bollinger Bands, and I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. When price is outside of the Bollinger Bands, that is the time to start looking at when to get into something, because price is not going to stay outside the Bollinger Bands very long. It's going to get right back inside of them. Does that make sense? And I think I've shown that before. I mean, when price is outside of, outside of Bollinger Bands, that's the time to start either thinking to short or go long. Or just not take a trade. And as far as DGB goes, I mean, again, it's a long-term hold. Let's go look at the weekly. There, let's pull up a weekly. And so, look at this. On your weekly chart, and we'll see, obviously we got a couple more days going. But look at this. We got a doji that's forming right here, okay? Let's see how it closes out. If it's a dead doji, I mean just like closes flat on it, then that's going to be something to watch, because the week after that is when you want to pay attention. Because if this is a possible reversal formation or the start of, you want to watch it. And not to mention that it's made a bottom here, and now it's bottoming out again on the 127.2 retracement. That's a double bottom. Double bottom. So, I mean, we'll see. The EMAs on this one are a jumbled mess. I mean, I will just be honest with you. They are a jumbled mess right now. The only thing is that the stochastic RSI and the regular RSI are way low. So, if this thing wants to make a move and bounce out of this, it's got plenty of juice to work with. Okay? So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. It's got some Momo behind it. Getting listed on a new exchange, etc. So, it's a good one. Yeah, and DGB, God, I hope everybody remembers this. I talked about it so long ago. DGB is one of those that you could sit there and you could swing trade it, right? It's one of those that you may have to, if you want to, I mean, look at the swings it's made. Look at this. You could have bought it back, or bought it back here, sold it here, bought it here, sold it here, bought, sold, and bought. Is this the buy area? I think it is. I think it's the buy area. And then potentially sell it back up in here when it makes a move up to 400, 500. And then don't sell all of it, but sell 75% of it and keep 25%. And then rinse and repeat until you get enough that it's all free. And then you don't have to keep an eye on it all the time. That's how you play it. You buy and sell, buy and sell. I mean, most people want to just sell all of it. Whatever they buy. They want to sell everything. Why? If you get a profit, keep some of it. I mean, if you buy, and let's just say it's 20,000 shares of something, and it goes up 10%, why do you have to sell all of it? Sell 15,000 shares and keep 5,000 shares. Just in case. Just in case it goes to the moon. If it comes back down, hey, you still have 5,000 shares. You're not losing, right? You've made money on your original investment. Hold it. If you believe in it, hold it. And then add again when it drops. You're playing the market and you're playing the casino and you're getting free shares. I mean, you could have, I mean, in the days when these things were moving, you could have had a big time portfolio built up of all kinds of stuff. You know, you could have sold 90% of your holdings on something, made big profits, and then if you still have 10% of something, what if that 10% went to the moon? Let's just say LTC back in the day, Litecoin. Let's say when it was trading really low. I mean, could you imagine? You bought 100%, then you sell it all, you sell 90%, and then the 10% takes off. You're just riding free money. ONT, let me take a look. Let's go over here. All right, ONT. Probably, wow. This thing has just been staying range bound. Yeah, it looks almost looks like Bitcoin, really. Ooh. Hang on. Let's see. I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff. I may just have to start all over on this one. And that retracement is still good. Okay. This one. Okay. Okay, so you had it's not a perfect hammer candle, but you had a very nice one. And again, I will go to this, the Bollinger Bands. This is a daily chart of ONT. And so what do we see? Okay. We had a big bearish engulfing candle right here that just killed the momentum right after it, when everybody was all bullish, and you see a bullish engulfing candle, it comes right back and just reverses everything. And now you get price that comes outside of the Bollinger Bands, not one day, but 2 days, and you get a hammer off of it where somebody said, nope, I think that's low enough. So now what you want to do is you want to go over here and create a horizontal ray. Okay? Horizontal ray. That's your support, right? And so you get a big bounce off that, and now you're retracing. And now what do you want to do? You want to go in and you want to look at your fib retracement. So we're going to take a retracement from the bottom here to the high here. Okay? Let's go in and clean it up a little bit. So it's broken the 38.2. It's broken the 50. All right. And so if it was me and I'm looking at this, then I'm going to say this to myself. I'm going to say, okay, if that's a really important bottom right there, then it should not get past the 78.6 at all, period. Should not. So could you technically take a position in this, a low risk position? Sure you can. You could, you could wait until it gets down to the 61.8, but the 61.8 is also a good bounce fib, right? So you could take a position right in here, put your stop down here, and if it stops you out, great. If not, then you've got a potential move up, retrace, and then a potential move higher. Okay? At which point you would want to look at your next decision to the upside, which would be, and let me pull this in here. Yeah, so it hit a 50 there. All right. And so if you take a position in here, obviously you could ride it all the way back to the 50 or the 61.8, which is where the 20 EMA would be, hypothetically. If it's following its trajectory, you can almost predict where it might be, right? And that's where you have to use your imagination a little bit. You're looking at this moving average and it's coming down, and you could project that it might be in here, right? Or somewhere in this area, possibly back even in here. But you could take a position and then see if it bounces. That's just my opinion. Actually looks like it's dropping even more right now as we speak. Let's see here. What else we got? All right. Anything else, guys? I'm getting ready to call it a night here in just a few. I got to get up early tomorrow.